welcome back. Well, I now want to just talk about a few lenses that we look at when we start through the design, planning and architecture space, and actually all the way right down to the agile space. And I'll be referring to it continually as we go through, but I find in business conversations that these three lenses resonate really well, and therefore we need to understand where they fit and how they're bolt together. So effectively what we have is at the top here, we have the lens of desirability. And what desirability is all about is the human-centered lens. So this focuses more on the customer aspects. And if you recall, there's a separation between what we refer to as what is value to the business and valuable to the customer. Later on, we'll also talk about how we create that separation at a business model level. But a business model is a framework that creates value for the customers and captures value for the business. So there's always that distinction that we need to be able to play with. And these lenses speak quite a bit to that. So what we've effectively got here is the desirability space. And then what we want to do is we want to create a mix of what is referred to as viability. And the viability is really the business viability angle. This is really looking at, well, how do we capture value for us as shareholders within the business, and business cases and business plans and those types of things. And then finally, our last lens cuts across here like this, and this is what is referred to as the feasibility lens. And there really this looks at, well, how doable is it? What's the burn rate of the current teams? Do we have the means to deliver those types of aspirations within the time periods that we have available to us? Now there's various disciplines that operate across these three lenses. Basically, if we start at the top here, and I'll do it in another color, normally design thinking starts here. Each of these disciplines does all three of these, but it's the starting point that's important. So design thinking comes in from the top here and really focuses from a human-centered and from a desirability perspective, getting into the behavioral and emotive drivers of your customers. Viability is really the discipline of strategic planning. And depending upon what school you're from, you could also break this down into business planning. Now what this means is they start here, so they start with viability. Often looking at sort of market dynamics and market analytics and those types of aspects. And then finally over here we have what is referred to as feasibility. And this really, we could use agile over here. We could also use bits of business planning that would start over here. And then there's disciplines like business architecture that tend to sit over here within these spaces. So what you have is an amalgamation of various disciplines in order for you to achieve outcomes for your business and for your customer, all within a reasonable cost, effort, budget, those types of things. So these are the lenses you want to be able to focus on. And you can see that ideally, sitting in the middle here, this is a great idea that is valuable to my customer, provides value to the business, and we're actually able to achieve. Now what happens if we try and do something and we actually miss or we skip one of these lenses? Well, if we just focus on this space here, this is very much a build it and they will come mentality. In other words, we've got the means to deliver it. It's going to produce the income, revenue and market share that we're looking for. Let's go ahead and build it. We've seen that in market-driven and product-driven business models, and where we just basically build products and push them out to market. And there's a shift in the market now, and that's no longer going to get you a differentiation. This one here, this looks at desirability and viability. So great idea, customer likes it, it's going to produce a return for us, but we actually don't have the means to deliver it. And this is often the case when we have a burn rate in our company. In other words, the company has the means, can only absorb so much change within the organization, can only run at a certain pace. And you can calculate that even at an agile and a sort of scrum level. You can look at the burn rate of your teams and what they can deliver and what sort of time scales. But really that's taking a perspective that with great ideas, good return, but really we don't have the capital, we don't have the resources, we don't have the people, we don't have the skills. All of those things are what we're actually missing. And that can be resolved. Each of these gaps, by the way, in these lenses can be resolved, but they just get resolved with different levers. And then finally, at this level here, what you've got is desirability versus feasibility. This means cool idea, customers like it, yes we can do it, but there's actually no viable business model. And we see that with a lot of the online platforms like YouTube and Facebook and those things, and they're launched and released and they're appealing to the market and they're deliverable pretty easily, but their business model is still in a state of flux. And this is really often we see in a lot of the startup community as the startup and founders that they're trying to find the right heuristic in order to deliver against this business model. So it's taking some time, and they're just getting traction in the market, they're getting growth through acquisition of customers and those types of things, but the revenue model still hasn't taken shape. So really what you've got is these three lenses. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that we can get a sort of nice chunk in the middle here, but that's the view of a great idea that we can deliver that's going to give return for customers and for business. So we'll use this lens as we progress through the course. You can do this right up at the strategic planning business by design level, in which you look at which business models are actually giving you feasibility, viability and desirability, and you can cascade that down into things like experiences, services and products all the way down the stack, right into your capabilities even. And even the Scrum and Agile techniques use these, what can we build versus what can we sell versus what's going to make the customer happy. So lenses that cascade all the way down. And just a reminder that this does come from IDEO, so it's a great little tool that they've come up with just to be able to communicate to business people around what they mean by coherency and alignment. Catch you next time.